And I said there's 6 ratios, and this 6 ratios works in pairs. So if I look at pairs, the current and the asset test will show me if my stock is turning into cash fast enough. Then we went into debtors and creditors, and I said this thing, it's important that you remember that you never pay your creditors before your debtors. And there's actually an order. So the first order is I buy stock. The stock is sold to customers, receivables. The receivables pay us. So now we got cash. So we pay our payables, our creditors. We buy stock, we sell it, we get the cash, we pay the creditors. We get stock, we sell it, we get the cash, we pay the creditors. And that's the cycle. And it's very important to remember that, because if you pay your creditors before your debtors pay you, you are using the money you're actually supposed to spend on operations, paying the wages, paying the rent, paying the insurance. You're using that funds now. You see? Okay. So if you look at an account, they will usually send it to you like this. They will say, and it can be any order. You can start this side or you can work backwards, where they will say current, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. This is usually how our account looks like. And current means this is your newest debt. You know when we did the debtors age analysis. So this is your newest debt. This is your debt that's 30 days old. So debt always works in that. So the thing is, I want my debtors to pay me 30 days. I want them to pay me there. And I want my creditors to rather be from 45 days onwards, so that there's a space where money is just lying. Okay, so the goal is to get your debtors as far as possible here and pay your creditors as far as possible there. Okay, that's always your goal. So what are you going to do? You're going to look, obviously, if this period decreases, it makes us happy. If this period is more than 30 days, I'm very unhappy. I want my debtors to pay within 30 days. Okay. If I look at my creditors is also, now I just have to look, I would want the period to increase, because I would want to have the opportunity to pay my creditors at a later stage, right? But the ideal is between 45 and 90 days. Now, am I not the creditor's debtor? I am definitely the creditor's debtor, so he wants me to pay within 30 days. So what do I do with debtors that's overdue? I charge interest. So isn't this creditor going to charge me interest when I'm overdue? Okay, so now you have a situation where you're going to see, is it worth my while to rather pay a little bit of interest and have cash available for my day-to-day operations? Okay? Or what is the max credit agreement or days the creditor is willing to give me? Because remember, your supplier is the person you buy stock from. So you're not going to buy stock from someone and next month from someone else and next month from someone else. You're not going to be a constant client of that guy. You're going to keep on going back to the same supplier. If he gives you quality and he gives you, he's trustworthy, he delivers on time, then you're going to stay with that supplier. So in other words, actually you are building a long-term relationship with this guy. You see? So you guys can sit down and negotiate, because he knows that you need to wait for your clients to pay you, to have cash to pay you, because everybody knows this rule. So go and negotiate with your creditor a little bit longer credit term. Ne? Isn't that what you're going to do? Okay. Now we get to the stock. So, I did do the stock. The stock on hand and the stock turnover, remember? The stock on hand is how long the stock is going to last me. And the stock turnover is how fast it sells out and replaced. So, next one I'm going to do is the risk. If I look at risk, can you see there in brackets it says gearing? So if you think about gearing, what's the first item that comes to your mind? A car, ne? And a car, so what is your strongest gear? A 1 or a 5? A 1. Because 1 gets your car moving when you are standing still. Okay, so can you see the lower the gear, the stronger gear it is? You get what I'm saying? Okay, so in other words, we want to be low geared. This is a good thing. Low geared is good. High geared is not good.
Oh,
yeah.
Low risk.
Yes. So low geared will go with the word low risk. What kind of risk? Financial risk. High geared will go with a high financial risk. And to who? To the bank. So this ratio, the risk ratio, is important for the bank. Because the bank wants to see if they can trust you to pay back the loan. Okay, now what is the ratio? It's the debt equity ratio. Meaning, what is the debt? It's your loan. Now can you see they don't say loan, they say non-current liability, but you know that's your long-term loan to owner's equity. So it's your loan to equity, your LE. Right. Now, what does this tell me? This tells me what is my own and what is my borrowed funds. So you don't want to borrow more than you own. Ne? So your own funds you will get through capital and profit. But the borrowed funds you'll get by borrowing. Okay. Now, I want you to look here at the comment. So this thing is not true in the real life. In real life, it depends on the type of business you have. Because a mining company, for instance, is still seen as low geared if they're 5 to 1. Meaning 5 rand borrowed for every 1 rand owned. So in my mind, that just looks really bad. But if you think about a mine, to start a mine, you need a very big capital outlay. You need a lot of money because you need extremely expensive machinery. Ne? Can you think how much that machinery costs that's going to dug the holes for you? Ne? That's going to sink the mine. Can you just imagine how expensive those things are? So meaning they start out with a very big capital outlay. They need a lot of money, but they're not going to make profit fast. Because now, digging that holes is not going to be 1 week and then the people can go in and go look for gold. It's going to take a while, you see. So, in other words, a business that's got a big capital outlay and takes long before it shows profit, their debt equity ratio, risk and gearing would be seen different than someone that opens up a clothing store. Because a clothing store doesn't need a lot of capital, because first of all, I'm going to rent my shop. Second of all, I'm going to buy my stock on credit, so I don't need cash immediately, and then I'm going to sell, get cash. So for that, my debt equity ratio should be different. You get what I'm saying? So in other words, in school accounting, we work with 0.5 as the middle. Okay. So in other words, anything 0.49 to 1, we see as low geared. Anything from 0.5 to 1 upwards, I will not see as not necessarily as high geared, but I will say it's moving to high geared, high risk. You see? So let's just quickly go through it. Let's say 25 and 26. So in 25, it was 0.3 to 1. Now it's 0.5 to 1. Can you see it's moving towards high geared? But can you see if I say it was 0.7 to 1 and now it's 0.5 to 1? It's not moving to high geared, it's moving to low geared. So you're going to look where it's moving to. Okay. And this is going to be an indication for a bank, because what it means here is for every 1 rand own capital, I borrowed 50 cents. Okay. Can you see that you can actually never borrow more than, you can never borrow more than your total capital. Okay. Because if it's 1 to 1, can you see it's 50-50? For every 1 rand own capital, I borrowed 1 rand. It's 50-50. If it's 2 to 1, for every 1 rand I borrowed 2 rand. So now it's actually 2/3 borrowed, 1/3 owned. Can you see? You guys get where I'm going? Okay. So I wrote that sentence here for you at the bottom. Eh? The moving. This is a moving ratio. And this is a ratio that will indicate the risk to the bank in giving you a loan. So the business will do this calculation because it will be an indication to you if the bank is going to, if there's a possibility that the bank might say no. Okay. Last one is my returns. So can you see so far I've done profitability. If I have to quickly summarize for you, first ratios we did was profitability, and there were 5, and they were the on ratios. The second one was the solvency, and solvency is all my debt, and there was only 1. Third one was liquidity, and liquidity, how many? 6, and this is short-term debt. Then I have risk gearing, there's only 1, and now I'm going to have returns. So you've got 5 groupings. Okay, so if I say comment on the business profitability, you cannot use debt equity ratio. You can only use the 5 ratios that's profitability ratios. If I say comment on the risk, then I can talk about gearing, right? But if I say comment on the solvency, I can't talk gearing. They are all in their own specific group. Okay. Now, if I look at returns. What is returns? If I say, oh, return to me, what does it mean? Come back. So returns is always to do with your investment. So what is the investment? Investment is money I put somewhere with the purpose to get more back. So I put 10 Rand down and I want 11 back. You get what I'm saying? So my return is what am I going to get back? Right. So this is what your partners are going to do. Because their investment is putting money in this partnership. And what would be their return?
Yeah.
What is the return of a business? If you put your money in a business, what does a business make? It's a profit. So if I'm working here, can you see here, if I want to look at the total there at 3.2, if I want to look at the partnership's return, the total, I put the net profit on the average partner's equity. But if I look at a single partner, I'm going to put the partner's earnings over his equity. Can you see that? That 100 shifted. It should be there. Okay, just fix that. Okay. Now, let's quickly just break this up a bit. A partner's earnings. What is a partner's earnings? It's his salary. It's his bonus. It's his interest on capital. And his final distribution. Can you see it's that part of the net profit that he gets? What is his equity? What is what is the partner's equity? It's most capital and current. So it would be this guy's capital and current for last year, ne? And capital and current for this year. And what is this year? It's the newest year. Last year would be the older year. Can you see that? Now, yes, baby. Because I want an average. So I want to add all of this and divide it by 2. So if you say, instead of a half, if it's easier for you to say /2, you do that. It's the same thing. So you can either say a half or you can say /2. Same thing. Now, can you see with a partner's equity, the net profit would now be the earning of partner 1 and the earning of partner 2. Now, can you see how long the average partner's equity is going to be? Because it's going to be half. Partner 1 capital, partner 1 current. Partner 1 capital, 2 capital, partner 2 current of last year. Partner 1 capital and current this year. Partner 2 capital and current. Can you see how much? Can you see this is partner 1 and this is partner 2? I talked very dear mekaar now. But you guys see, basically, it's those 4 C's that is now doubled. Can you see if it was 3 partners, it would be tripled. Can you imagine if you had 20 partners, how many C's there'd be?
That's why we use AI.
Okay, is everybody happy with that? Okay, now, what is important for me is that you always remember, if you calculate a return, you need to know if it's good or bad. And you will not be able to know if it's good or bad if you don't compare it with something else. So obviously it's good if it increased from last year. So you want both of them to increase, ne? But the most important thing is you want this return to be bigger than the return on other investments. So in other words, if this partner has a return of 8%, but if he goes to the bank and he put that same amount of money in a fixed deposit, he could have had 10%. Was this a clever investment? No, he could have rather put it just in a fixed deposit. Okay, so what is other investments? It's putting it obviously into other businesses. It could be buying shares in companies. And most basic fixed deposit. Put it in a fixed deposit. And that's my ratios. And now we're going to start with the calculations. So if I look at number 1, they say, Bigfoot are partners in a business called Bigfoot Shoe Stores. This is such a good one. They have a markup of 80% on cost. Now, can you see they give you information for the markup? Debtors are given 32 days to pay. That's my credit terms. But they have negotiated 45 days with their creditors. You see? So this is a very healthy situation. I first get my debtors and then I pay my creditors. They say round off to 2 decimal places. Now, quickly do for me on your own the percentage gross profit on cost of sales. On your own. So if I look at this, they want me to do the gross profit on cost of sales. What is the name for that? If they didn't give me the ratio like that, how else could they ask it? They can ask you to calculate the markup.
But didn't they give us the markup? Oh no, that's the other.
Remember, they give you a markup, that's the business markup, but you calculate what they actually achieved.
Yes, yes.
And then you're going to compare it. Okay, so they want gross profit on top, cost of sales at the bottom times 100. And just for your info here, FYI, you don't get any marks for writing down the format. So don't waste your time writing out nice long words. Ne? Just say GP over cost. Ne? Or even GP over CS. Whatever. You don't even have to write it. You hear me? So, now, let's go look. They give me here sales and cost of sales. Can you see they didn't give me gross profit? But I can calculate gross profit by saying sales less cost of sales,
1.2 million.
ne? Which is 1.2 million. Over cost of sales, 1.8 million times 100. So I'm literally going to use the 1.2 over the 1.8 times 100. And what is that?
66.67.
Oh, you couldn't wait to say that.
Or 67.
Okay, but they say round off 2 decimals. Okay, yes. Say no. Listen. So these days, can I ask you to look at me? They don't mark that. They will give you a mark for that too, because you had to calculate it, 1 for that. Because you said times 100, you'll get your bagel. If your sign isn't wrong. If you said their days, you can't get your bagel. But if you said nothing, you'll get your bagel. If you said percentage, you'll get your bagel. Okay, but you have to show the times 100. So, next one. Let's see. Should the owners be happy with this markup achieved?
No.
So you say no.
Yes.
Why?
Because it's less than the 80%.
No. Now you say the 66.67% achieved is lower than the business markup of 80%. Okay. Ooh, nobody can see what I'm writing, but I'm writing like crazy. You guys shut.
So ma'am, we can just like abbreviate mid-sentence or the full sentence for us.
No, this is fine. Like the way I wrote it is fine. So the next one, now if they have asked you, why is there a difference? What would you say?
Too many discounts.
Too much discounts, or they had a year-end sale.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's quickly look. So they say calculate the average debtors collection period in days and comment on your answer. So let's quickly look. My debtors, let me just have it there at the top. So it's going to be average debtors, average debtors over credit sales times 365. Okay, so average debtors, I take last year plus this year, so it's 240 plus 280 over credit sales, and my credit sales is 50% credit, so it's 1.5 times, and please you have to show the times 365. So I'm just quickly, so we're going to calculate here 240 plus 280, it's going to give me what? 520 divided 2, it's 260. So it's 260 divided 1.5 times 365, and it gives me how many days? 63 days. And now if I want to comment, I go first of all to my terms. And they say debtors should pay within 32 days. So now I see, oh, these are not very good debtors. So I'm going to say, let me just put it where you can see it. So I'm going to say, debtors take 63 days to pay, even though the credit terms is 32 days. Or you can say debtors takes longer to pay, they take 63 days instead of 32 days. Or you can say debtors are paying too slow, or too slow, their paying is too slow, they take 63 days but the terms is 32 days. So I would want to see that you mention both, and then you'll get your marks. Yeah. So first of all, you need to up your internal control. So you're going to follow up on debtors, but your easiest thing is, number one, you're going to send reminders. You will see that most businesses that you owe money to will send you a reminder about 5 to 7 days before you need to pay. So you'll receive your statement like the 25th, and you have time till the 2nd to pay, for instance. So send reminders. I'll be with you now. Send reminders. Follow up on the debtors that's behind, because it's not all your debtors that's behind. This 60 days is because of some people that's very behind. So follow up on them. Charge interest on overdue debtors accounts. You see?
Those are internal control methods.
Yes. Okay, why is it that it's now suddenly 63 days? It's because they were very lax. They're lax. They don't follow up. They are not very strict. Their internal control is lacking. So they must go look who's in charge of debtors, because that manager that's in charge of debtors needs to be addressed about this. And maybe you should change your manager, or send the manager for training, or mentor the manager, let them shadow you for a while, stuff like that. Yes. 63 days.
No, the credit term.
Yeah, 32 days.
Yeah, like, don't they say they negotiate 10.5?
No, that's the creditors. Yeah.
Oh man, what do you call that document that checks like your history of whether you've been paying your credit and with?
Oh, it's not a document. It's a website. There's companies that do it. They call it your credit rating.
Okay, check debtor's credit rating.
Yeah, maybe what even happened is, no, I want to record this. Maybe what even happened is that these debtors weren't screened properly. You know, there was a time when Willis just gave credit to everybody. My mom got a card that she just needed to activate, and she's a pensioner with no income because she is dependent on my dad's income. But she got a Woolies card in her own name. So, meaning that is irresponsible because it means they didn't really screen her very well.
But a Woolies card, like what does it do?
You get a Woolies credit card.
Credit card? I just know the
Discount.
yes.
Yeah. And then of course then an account card as well. Yes. I don't know if they still have the credit cards.
I think they probably did.
But I wanted to ask, do you think, because I've heard a lot of friends really say, like this age, you should have a credit card?
Okay, say again.